Some towns are small enough that secrets never really stay buried, but sometimes they hide in plain sight. I first noticed it on a Thursday, the kind of Thursday where the air smells like rain, but the sun refuses to quit. People went about their routines, smiling, nodding, pretending everything was fine. But I felt it in the way Sarah avoided my eyes, in the way Jake lingered a little too long in the doorway of her bookstore. Something was shifting, and I could sense it before anyone dared speak. I've lived here all my life. I thought I knew every corner, every whisper, every quiet agreement people make to keep life simple. I was wrong. Sarah had been my best friend since we were kids, and over time, the line between friendship and something more had blurred. She ran her bookstore with a quiet pride, and I worked at the hardware store, keeping the town's wheels greased in my small way. Life was predictable, or so I thought. He had that city-bred charm, an easy confidence that made the townsfolk listen a little closer when he spoke. He opened his real estate office, across from Sarah's store, and suddenly she was laughing more, lingering longer over coffee with him. I told myself I wasn't jealous. I even believed it for a while. But the tension built in ways I couldn't ignore. One evening, I saw Jake and Sarah walking together past the old mill, holding hands casually, as if the world outside of our little town didn't matter. My chest tightened, and for the first time, I realized that the life I thought I had might already be slipping through my fingers. A few days later, I overheard Sarah on the phone, whispering urgently. Her words didn't make sense, but the panic in her voice did. When I confronted her, she smiled nervously and said it was nothing, just business stuff. I wanted to believe her, but something inside me refused. That night, I stayed awake, thinking of her laughter, her eyes, and the way she avoided mine. Then came the first real shock. Jake invited me over, casually, as if nothing was wrong, and I found a stack of documents on his desk, papers showing that he'd been buying property around town quietly, including the lot where Sarah's bookstore sat. He wasn't just charming. He was planning to take over the very ground she had built her life on. "You're imagining things," I told him, trying to keep calm. "Am I?" he said, with that same easy grin. "You don't see it yet, but change is coming." The next morning, Sarah told me she had to sell the bookstore. She blamed debts she hadn't mentioned, saying Jake had offered to help. I wanted to scream, to drag her out of the trap I could now see clearly. But she was smiling, almost relieved. That's when I realized something worse. She wasn't being coerced. And she wanted it with him. I felt the ground shift beneath me, the sense of betrayal sinking in. But life has a strange way of balancing itself. Weeks later, the documents Jake had pushed through revealed a flaw, a clause he overlooked. Sarah, ever clever, had signed papers in a way that made him lose everything he tried to claim. She turned the situation around quietly, almost casually, and in that moment, I understood something about her. She was never mine to hold, but she was brilliant in ways I couldn't always predict. In the end, Jake left town, muttering about bad luck, while Sarah reopened her bookstore, this time with a new wing she'd dreamed of building for years. I stayed by her side. Not as a lover, not as a rival, but as someone who had learned a painful lesson. People are more complicated than you think, and trust is both fragile and fierce. I still walk past the bookstore every day, and sometimes she looks at me with that old warmth, a silent acknowledgement of what we were and what we will never be. And that's the moral I carry with me. In a small town where everyone seems known and safe, the truth is often stranger than the gossip, and the people you think you can predict are the ones who teach you the most about yourself.